Samsy. Story time with Dora. Here we go, guys. Around the World, Part 7. We's continuing on our journey towards the coral pink sand dunes. We're somewhere outside of Munds Park, and we're going to end up somewhere outside of Flagstaff. We don't quite get to Flag, but we's awfully close. And I thought it might be fun to kind of show you just a little bit of the campsite that I was going to. We did a little bit of a time-lapsey thing here, and when it gets dark, this one will be over. All right, now around the world in 80 days. Let's get it on. Now, when we left this thing off, Fix, the detective, was trying to convince the director of Bombay Police to arrest Phileas Fogg, because he just figured for sure he was the guy that was stealing and stole all the money. And so we're just gonna, let's see, he refused, said it was a matter of the London office. He wouldn't deliver the warrant. So Phileas Fogg. So Fix had no choice but just to get on about with him, I guess, and just keep following him. Some more. Okay, let's just pick it up there before I wander. Wait, should we take a look at this drive? There's a beat-up old road. How about that? There's a beat-up old road. The director refused, as the matter concerned the London office, which alone could legally deliver the warrant. Fix did not insist. It was fain to resign himself to await the arrival of the important document. But he was determined not to lose sight of the mysterious rogue as long as he stayed in Bombay. He did not doubt for a moment, any more than Passepartout, that Phileas Fogg would remain there, at least until it was time for the warrant to arrive. Passepartout, however, had no sooner heard his master's orders on leaving the Mongolia that he saw at once that they were to leave Bombay as they had done Suez and Paris, and that the journey would be extended at least as far as Calcutta, and perhaps beyond that place. He began to ask himself if this bet that Mr. Fogg talked about was not really in good earnest, and whether his fate was not in truth forcing him, despite his love of repose, around the world in 80 days. Having purchased the usual quota of shirts and shoes, he took a leisurely promenade about the streets, where crowds of people of many nationalities, Europeans, Parisians with pointed caps, Banyas with round turbans, Sindhis with square bonnets, Parsis with black mitris, and long-robed Americans were collected. It happened to be the day of a Parsi festival. The descendants of the sect of Zoroaster, the most thrifty, civilized, and intelligent, and austere of the East Indians, among whom are counted the richest native merchants of Bombay, were celebrating a sort of religious carnival, with processions and shows, in the midst of which Indian dancing girls, clothed in rose-colored gauze, looped up with gold and silver, danced airily, but with perfect modesty, to the sound of vowels and the clanging of tambourines. Ooh. It is needless to say that Passepartout watched these curious ceremonies with staring eyes and gaping mouth, and that his countenance was that of the greenest booby imaginable. Unhappily for his master as well as himself, his curiosity drew him unconsciously farther off than he intended to go. At least, having seen the Parsi carnival wind away in the distance, he was turning his steps toward the station when he happened to espy the splendid pagoda of Malabar Hill, and was seized with an irresistible desire to see its interior. He was quite ignorant, that is, he was quite ignorant that it is forbidden to Christians to enter certain Indian temples, and that even the faithful must not go in without first leaving their shoes outside the door. It may be said here that the wise policy of the British government severely punishes a disregard of the practices of the native religions. Oh, let's take a look at this drive. Oh boy, I know exactly where we's at. We's heading toward Flagstaff. Ha! And we're gonna get there. Nothing real exciting here. No, I'm not even going to say it because I know everybody's looking for them now. And if we see somebody will let me know. I know it. I just know it. Passepartout, however, thinking no harm, went in like a simple tourist, and was soon lost in admiration of the splendid Brahmin ornamentation which everywhere met his eyes, when, of a sudden, he found himself sprawling on the sacred flagging. He looked up to behold 3 enraged priests, who forthwith fell upon him, tore off his shoes, and began to beat him with loud, savage exclamations. The agile Frenchman was soon upon his feet again, and lost no time in knocking down 2 of his long-gowned adversaries with his fists and a vigorous application of his toes. Then, rushing out of the pagoda as fast as his legs could carry him, he soon escaped the 3rd priest by mingling with the crowd in the streets. At 5 minutes before 8, Passepartout, hatless, shoeless, and having in the squabble lost his package of shirts and shoes, rushed breathlessly into the station. Fix, who had followed Mr. Fogg to the station, and saw that he was really going to leave Bombay, was there upon the platform. He had resolved to follow the supposed robber to Calcutta, and further, if necessary. Passepartout did not observe the detective, who stood in an obscure corner, but Fix heard him relate his adventures in a few words to Mr. Fogg. "I hope that this will not happen again," said Mr. Phileas Fogg coldly, as he got into the train. Poor Passepartout, quite crestfallen, followed his master without a word. Fix was on the point of entering another carriage when an idea struck him, which induced him to alter his plan. "No, I'll stay," muttered he. "An offense has been committed on Indian soil. I've got my man." Just then the locomotive gave a sharp screech, and the train passed into the darkness of the night. Ooh, okay, what the heck does that mean? He's going to stay. He's got his... Yeah, okay. Oh, that's how Passepartout lost his shoes. Haha, Passepartout. Okay, let's take a look at the drive. We got a lot of pine trees, big old road. Oh, I see a road sign coming. Oh, the construction. Yeah, we's getting up there. And I just can't remember exactly what the dealio is there, but I know we don't quite get into Flag. They've been working on that interchange up there, the I-40, the I-17 interchange, and since the thing existed, they're always making room for the spotted owl. Chapter 11, in which Phileas Fogg secures a curious means of convenience. Convenience? What in the heck? Is that even a word? In which Phileas Fogg secures a curious means of conveyance at a fabulous price. The train had started punctually. Among the passengers were a number of officers, government officials, and opium and indigo merchants, whose business called them to the eastern coast. Passepartout rode in the same carriage with his master, and a third passenger occupied a seat opposite to them. This was Sir Francis Cromarty, one of Mr. Fogg's whist partners on the Mongolia, now on his way to join his corps at Benares. Man, I gotta figure out how to say that one. Benares. It ain't gonna be no dang Benares. Sir Francis was a tall, fair man of 50, who had greatly distinguished himself in the last Sepoy revolt. He made India his home, only paying brief visits to England at rare intervals, and was almost as familiar as a native with the customs, history, and character of India and its people. But Phileas Fogg, who was not traveling, but only describing a circumference, took no pains to inquire into the subject. He was a solid body, traversing an orbit around the terrestrial globe. According to the laws of rational mechanics, he was on this moment calculating in his mind the number of hours spent since his departure from London, and had it been in his nature to make a useless demonstration, he would have rubbed his hands for satisfaction. Sir Francis Cromarty had observed the oddity of his traveling companion, although the only opportunity he had for studying him had been while he was dealing cards and between two rubbers, and questioned himself whether a human heart really beat beneath this cold exterior, and whether Phileas Fogg had any sense of the beauties of nature. The Brigadier General was free to mentally confess that, all of the eccentric persons he had ever met, none were comparable to this product of the exact sciences. Oh boy. Phileas Fogg had not concealed from Sir Francis his design of going around the world, nor the circumstances under which he set out. And the general, let's take a look. Oh boy. All right, let's take a look and just see where we're at. We could probably put a mark on it right there. Like I say, this trip is going to take a couple of weeks to have real time. So good Lord, who knows how long it's going to take me to get through this here. Oh boy, I lost my spot. Oh, that's unfortunate of me. Oh, here, we'll just pick it up right there. That's where we'll leave it. There we go. All right, now let's take a look and see where we're at before Big Rosie jumps all up here. We are almost in Flagstaff, and it's dark. I can see the lights of the shower room coming on there, and yeah, that's about it. We're going to pick it up. Where are we going to pick it up? I think we're going to pick it up just on the other side of Flagstaff, and then we're going to roll up through the res and possibly I don't know where we're going to get to on the next one. I guess we'll have to see how long I can yammer and yammer. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, let's just take another look here. I didn't realize just how much time we had. Phileas Fogg had not concealed from Sir Francis his design of going around the world. Well, that's where we're going to pick it up next time. So thank you so much for coming along, and we'll catch you next time. And now let's do this here thing. Samsy. And we'll leave you with just a few seconds of the big old Rosie. There you go, you big old Rosie. You'll go for a big run.